would be to create content and just put it out there. Write about what you like, do podcasts, do videos, write books, put everything for free out there. And then if you show expertise and if what you say makes sense, then the clients will come to you automatically.
Okay, no, makes perfect sense. And I think that's one thing is, hey, hey everyone, this is Devin Miller here with another episode of the Inventive Journey. I'm your host, Devin Miller, the serial entrepreneur that has started several 7- and 8-figure businesses, as well as the founder and CEO of Miller IP Law, where we help startups and small businesses with their patents and trademarks. And today we have another great guest on the podcast, Bastien Siebman. And Bastien, after graduating from school, went and did some things within NGOs, built it up, did some website building and app building, built some other businesses, joined another company or joined other companies, now joined a company that's doing software development, doing that, and then doing also a side gig with Asana, hoping to hopefully turn that into a future full-time job, but loving his job otherwise. So kind of making that balance between side gig, really 2 full-time jobs of doing your current job as well as a side gig. So with that, as much as an introduction, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I think you've said everything. I don't have to say anything.
All right, well, we'll just call it there. That will be the perfect episode. No, but I gave a quick introduction, and but maybe just dive into a little bit more of your journey and kind of share how it went for you.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So I think everything started for me during engineering school, where I started to build websites and build mobile apps and these kind of side projects. I always had side projects. And it all started with an app that was built for NGOs. And with my colleagues, associates, we kind of built that into a small company, small startup. And we kind of failed after a while because we didn't find the market we were looking for. And there was basically no need for the app we built at the time. But every time we were discussing with NGOs, they were always telling us, basically, we don't care about your app, but if you can build an app just for us or a website just for us, we might be interested. And we just didn't want to see this. So at the time, we just said, no, we don't do that. We're not like a web agency. We can't do that. And after a while, it was becoming some kind of a pattern. So we realized it was the right thing to do, to pivot into being a web agency and mobile agency for NGOs around us. And it turned into a general agency where we would build websites and apps for people around us. So yeah, basically it's the first step of the journey.
So that sounds like almost you pivoted, but not necessarily, it wasn't due to you, but more of that was what the market was telling you, hey, what you're trying to sell us, we don't want, but this is what we want. If you sell this to us, we'll probably pay you. And that was kind of the motivation of that pivot.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the biggest mistake we made at the time, which is the biggest mistake everyone does in business, is to go too far, to build something too far away. So you do like a big app with a lot of features, a lot of things, and you put a lot of effort in that, and then you go meet the market, and it's too late. They don't want what you built for the last 6 months or 12 months. You just wasted like an entire year building something people don't want. And it's a big mistake, and I will never do that mistake again. So right now, when I build something, it takes me either 1 hour or 1 day. I just build the first version of it and I launch, and I see if there's market for it, if there's people interested in it. And sometimes I even just ask people before if they would be interested, and if I have no interest, I just don't build that thing.
No, I think there's two things you kind of hit on there. One is, and I would be on probably the techie engineering nerdy side of things, that you always tend to make things more complicated. You're saying, oh, we can do these 10 awesome things. And really what the market wants is 1 or 2 of those awesome things. And by building the other 8 things or whatever number it is, you tend to complicate it, make it more or too many things, too feature rich, and it almost detracts from it. And I think that's, I'm of the opinion that, the hardest apps or the hardest, whether it's websites or apps or other software to build, are the simple ones, right? That has a simple interface, dead easy to understand. Everybody can pick it up. It's intuitive. Those are the ones that are, it's easy to build a big one with lots of features that are clunky, much harder to build something simple that's straightforward that people just can pick up and get, and they don't have to invest a lot of time to figure it out. And I think the other one you kind of hit on was, approaching the marketplace and earlier. And, I think that there's a lot of wisdom in that, and, to go out. And I think that when you approach the marketplace, it's either with your, something that you quickly built up to see if they want it, or if you're even asking before, but don't go ask your friends and families, go ask potential customers, ask people, see if they'll actually willing to pay for it, if they're actually willing to give you money for that type of product. Because if not, if all you ask is this a good idea or not, they'll always be nice and they'll say, yeah, that's a great idea. Would you buy it? No, I wouldn't buy it. And then that gives you a much better indication. So you did that, you built the company, you did the websites, you did the apps. And how did that go well? Did you continue to build a company? Did it eventually run out of gas or business, or kind of where did your journey go from there?
I think we ended up in a place where we needed to either hire people to get bigger, or get acquired by someone, or merge with someone, or just do something to get bigger, because we were not getting the kind of money we were expecting after 2 or 3 years of entrepreneurship. So we needed to go to the next steps. And the occasion just presented itself with someone needing like an IT team, like a team of developers like us. And they acquired the company and hired us to be their team of developers. So we actually went into building someone else's ideas as developers.
Mm. So then, did you guys, was that the original founders, people that were with you on the original company, you guys pivoted and did that? Is that still what you're doing today? I think you mentioned that you kind of transitioned over to a software company. Did you guys join that software company, or did they acquire you, or did you guys team up, or how did that go?
Yeah, so after the first acquisition, the three of us worked there for like 2 years, and then we just part ways and went into different companies, and I joined another company myself, another software company. We are much bigger. We are 40 people now, building a big B2B software. And at the same time, for all those years, I kept all the side project I had. And all of those were all revolving around Asana, which is a software project management software. And I started to discover the tool like 6 or 7 years ago. I started to write about it. I started to really study the tool and see what you can do with it. And some people started to ask for help. So I started to help people. And then one thing led to another. And now I became a consultant in that space as a side project from my developing full-time job.
So one question, just taking you back into just a bit, but just hit on. So you had you and your couple other founders or friends that you originally started the company with. You guys started to say, hey, we made the first pivot, which was we originally built a software product, but people didn't necessarily want it or wouldn't pay for it. So then you started building apps and websites for other people. When did you get to the point you're saying, hey, we're each going to part ways, or, we're each going to go our separate ways? Was it out of lack of revenue? What people weren't enjoying it? It was, people had better opportunities, or kind of what was the catalyst for you guys kind of splitting up and you deciding to go to another company and them going other ways? Or how did you make that decision?
Yeah, the three of us had a disagreement with the team that acquired the company. So it was just disagreement with the management. We were trying to be very agile in the way we worked, and the people that acquired us did not want to be that agile. I'm not going to get into the details, but we just didn't get along that well after 2 years. So we just decided that was it, and we just needed to do something else.
Okay, so now you guys say, okay, the company that acquired your company, not everybody agreed with the direction. Where are you going to go? So did you stay with that company, or is a company that you joined on with a different company?
I joined a different company, just a different team. I just reached out to people on Facebook, I think it was at the time, just saying, hey guys, I'm just looking for a new job. And someone I knew reached out to me saying, hey, I'm building that new company, do you want to join? And I think the month after that, I was doing the interview and joining the company a few weeks after that.
Makes sense. So you did that. So and what? How do? So when you sold off the other company, was that a bittersweet thing? Were you excited to move on? Was it something that you're saying, hey, wish we had more time, or we had an opportunity in front of us, it didn't work out, or what was the motive? Especially where you guys kind of all parted ways. What was the motivation for selling the company? Just kind of worn out or tired, or what was the reason that you moved on?
Yeah, I guess for us it was a chance to see something else and maybe join some bigger project with more ambition, more money, more people, and just see, because we were fresh out of college when we worked together, and we never actually had a real job with other people. We just, the three of us, we were just working together like since day one after our degree. So it was the occasion for us to just see what's out there and how it is to work with other people and have like a real job in a real company.
Okay, no, it makes sense. So you did that. Now you transition. You go join. I think you said that you're like the 20th employee of another software development company. And then in parallel to that, or in addition to that, you also got involved with Asana and doing a side gig. So how did that go as far as joining the other company, and then how did you stumble on Asana, and then how have you been doing that as a side hustle?
I think it's all about balance. So you need to find the right balance, and when you lack motivation on one side, you get the motivation on the other side,
Mm.
and also one side of things actually feeds into the other one. So, for example, what I learn at my main company, I can apply in my code in my private side jobs, side hustle. And what I learn in my side project, I can actually bring that experience into my main company. So it actually feeds each other. And in my case, the chance I have is that the main company is in France, but my main side project is actually worldwide. So I work for people in the US or in Asia. So it's totally different time zone. So I can do
Mm.
my daily job at my French company, and I can have something with like Asia in the morning and the US in the afternoon or in the evenings, like we are doing right now.
Mm.
And so I can actually have 2 days, 2 business days across several hours because of the time zones and the difference.
Okay. So, and what was it, and diving into a little bit of the Asana work and the kind of the side gig, was that out of a necessity of, hey, I'm doing this for my current job and I'd like to, I just need these tools, or I need to become an expert? Was it a side interest? Hey, I just like to explore this further. Or how did you kind of, because you talked about, hey, this kind of started out as a side gig, it's growing, you're slowly becoming a contributor and an authority on it
Yeah.
with Asana, but it's been a slow burn. So what was the motivation for kind of saying, hey, I'm going to become an expert in this area while still doing the full gig or full-time gig?
Becoming an expert was not the plan at the beginning. It was only, I just needed a tool. So I looked around for the tools, and there was a couple of tools at the time, and I just chose Asana, and I
Mm.
really liked it. And I thought it was missing a feature. So I actually built a tool around that tool to give that feature to other people. And then suddenly you have people you don't know, like from the other side of the world, emailing you and saying, oh, this is really interesting what you've done there. And then you start discussing, and you realize that the community around that tool is starting to be built. So you start to be part of that community, and then you're one of the main contributors of that community. And then Asana launches their official community forum, and then you start answering there. And I became the first contributor in the world pretty quickly because I was enjoying helping other people, and I wanted to try to write a book. So I wrote the first book, and people liked it, and I just kept going by building other tools, writing content, doing videos, helping people, basically putting out there a lot of free content for everyone to see.
Mm.
And one day someone emailed me saying, hey, I need help. Can I basically pay you to help me? And I was afraid of doing this because of lack of experience, and I didn't have a good English level at the time, so I couldn't help them. So I kept pushing them away to other experts. And one day I just decided that I was ready to actually help those people and do the consulting work they wanted me to do. And I never stopped. So I think I helped more than 70 different clients around the world. And I
Mm.
do several hours per week of consulting time, and I really enjoy the work around Asana as a consultant.
Okay, no, makes perfect sense. So now one question, because it sounds like, and not putting words in your mouth, but that you're almost at where a lot of people that are doing side hustles or side gigs get, right? In the sense that, hey, I've got my daytime job to make the money, to have the income, to support myself. And then I've got kind of a passion project or something I really enjoy on the side, starting to make a bit of money with it. And then you're trying to decide a bit, hey, do I keep this as a passion project or as a side hustle, just enjoy the little bit of income? Do I put a more concerted or full-time effort onto it? Do I say the side or the full-time job and just dive into that and put this on the side? So how do you kind of decide or make that decision is between leaving something as a side hustle, planning for it to become your full-time hustle, diving all in, not diving in at all, or how do you kind of weigh those things?
The first thing is it took years to have some decent money out of it. So it literally took years to get some money. It took a few years to get a couple of bucks per month, and it took many, many years to have like a decent income from this. And I really like the balance between my day job and that of hustle, because for my day job, it's a different ambition. It's a bigger team. I have colleagues. I can talk to people during the day, and for the side hustle, I'm alone. So it's nice to be able to decide for yourself, but also you don't have any colleagues. It's really two different worlds. And I really like to have those two worlds at the same time for now, trying to balance each other the best I can. And maybe depending on the opportunity, I might be moving towards one or the other direction. I don't know yet. I'm trying to keep my options open.
Hey, it's always good to have options and always good to have diversity in work and in revenue sources. So, and that's, I think the hard thing is, hey, you can, sometimes it's the best decision to dive all in. And I think that's probably the number one note that a lot of entrepreneurs hit on is I wish I dived in earlier, but that's always looking back. Hindsight is always 20/20, right? And if you knew that you're going to be successful, dive all in. On the other hand, it's hard to know, hey, if this doesn't go well, if it is just a smaller market or it's only ever going to support a side hustle, then you don't want to leave what would be your full-time job, and it makes it more difficult. So I know you touched on a little bit, but any projections as to how you see, is a plan to kind of continue to slowly build up a clientele, continue to be an authority on it and naturally let it evolve? Is it more you're going to start or continue to put a more concerted effort on it? Or how do kind of if you're to look at the next 6 to 12 months, how does that play out?
For the next 6 to 12 months, I think I'm going to keep that balance the way it is right now. And I'd like to be in a place where I can actually choose my clients. So I'd like to have my calendar full and just decide who I want to work with on what topic, with what rates. I just want to decide this. And in order to do that, I need to keep building my reputation and my authority and everything. And also all the passive income I have on the side, all the tools I'm building, the books I'm writing, I need to keep doing this. And I need to keep getting better at that job to make sure that I can choose what to work on and with whom.
Makes sense. So, well, awesome. Well, now as we kind of shift to the two questions I always ask at the end of the podcast, and so we'll jump to those now. So first question I'll ask is, so what was the worst business? And you talked about a couple of decisions you made along the way, but maybe it's the same one or a different one, but what was the worst business decision you ever made?
The worst one I've made a couple of times is to not launch early enough. So just wait and wait and wait and build and build and build, because I prefer to code rather than picking up the phone and talk with people. So I just code. And it's always a waste of time. You should always try to pick up the phone first. And then once you have people attention, then you build what will help them because they told you. It's the first step. I think, it's the biggest mistake I've made.
Okay, no, it makes perfect sense. So doing that, now jumping to the second question, which is, so now if you were to say, hey, for people that are maybe in your same situation that are trying to, do both the side hustle, do a passion project, getting that up and going and taking that kind of that slow burn, as you mentioned, as well as doing the full-time gig and working for somebody else, what would be the one piece of advice you'd give them?
I think it would be to create content and just put it out there. Write about what you like, do podcasts, do videos, write books, put everything for free out there. And then if you show expertise and if what you say makes sense, then the clients will come to you automatically.
Okay, no, makes perfect sense. And I think, I think that's one thing is, hey, too often we kind of get in a spot that everybody wants to be an authority, but doesn't want to, or be seen as the authority, but doesn't really want to put in the time, right? Meaning you want everybody to look at you as to have the answers, but really if you want people to see you as authority to generate business that way, to get people to or view you in that light, it's got to be with putting in the time and effort of actually doing the work, putting out the content, building the reputation, giving people that advice and everything else. And as you do that over a period of time, then it starts to grow. But it's not, and not putting maybe words in your mouth, but I think that's the myth that people sometimes get sucked into is I can become an authority within a few days or a few months. And it's a much slower build than that. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. And what's good if you put free content out there is that clients actually come to you and they already know you because they've read about things you do, they've seen videos of you, interviews, and they know you. So you don't have to convince them of your knowledge because they already seen that you know a lot of things. So you just discuss the details, but if they come to you, it's half the work is already done. Rather than having someone that didn't share anything online and you have to defend yourself, you have to explain why you think you're the best. And I think it's better to just show everyone what you do. Everything when my clients pay me to teach them stuff, everything I teach is already available for free online. So they just buy the time and the knowledge I have so they can save time themselves. So they see everything you put out online and just come to you to get like a summary or very specific answer on their very specific problem.
No, I mean, that makes perfect sense. Well, as we wrap up, if people want to know, whether it's utilize your software developing skills or more specifically on Asana, if they have questions, if they want to hire you, they want to pick your brain, find out more, follow you and everything else or everything in between, what's the best way to connect up or contact you?
They can go to my website, minimalistwork.com, and they can also find me on LinkedIn.
Perfect. Well, I certainly encourage everybody that has any questions that is wanting to connect out or talk with an Asana expert and get some expertise on that to reach out to you, Bastien. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast. It's been fun to talk a little bit about your journey. Now, for all of those of you that are listeners, if you have your own journey to tell and you'd love to come on the podcast, feel free to go to inventivejourneyguests.com and apply to be on the podcast. If you're a listener, and you make sure to click subscribe so you get a notification of all the new episodes as they come out. And lastly, if you ever need any help with patents and trademarks, feel free to reach out to us at Miller IP Law. We're always here to help. Bastien, thank you again. Wish you the next leg of your journey even better than the last, and excited to see where life takes you.
Thanks. Have a good day. Bye.